All right. Hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel and we are live. We are live. So let me know in the comments if you can hear me. I'm sure you probably can. I think we're getting a little bit better at this by now. For those of you that don't know, I am the uncle of last resort. And I say that just because if they have to ask me to have their kids, then I know they're pretty desperate. So yeah, anyway, we had a good time today. Set a tent up, stuffed it full of cushions and stuff. And they seem to enjoy that. But we are back. We're on this. And hopefully you can hear me, right? Hopefully you can hear me. I thought what I would do is take a quick flick through the news. And thank you for confirming sound is on. Yeah, I thought we'd just flick through the news, take a look at some charts. And we'll just see what's going on, right? We'll see what's going on. So I see Sis in the house. Hi. Let's get into it, I guess, right? So first of all, everything is seemingly on fire. Everything is permanently on fire. So yeah, there's that. I also found this, that owning cryptocurrency may make you more desirable on the dating scene. So that explains a lot, right? In all seriousness, Canada has entered a recession, right? We're seeing mortgage delinquencies rise. So is this an early warning sign, right? Is this going to lead the US? That's to be determined. Certainly something I want to keep an eye on. We also have gold and silver on the quarterly charts looking very, very bullish. And this is something I expect to continue. We have also, speaking of gold, you know, the gold miner stock that I was talking about in yesterday's video. Well, it turns out that may well have been a pump and dump because this thing did 22x in a single day. So, I mean, that's pretty wild, right? That is pretty wild. Are they actually going to buy the Bitcoin? I don't know, right? I don't know, but it's pretty interesting. This kind of price action has, rightfully so, drawn an awful lot of suspicion to this whole thing. So anyway, another day in the matrix, I guess. We also have this cycle is notably different, right? Institutional funds have reached 86 billion just in the past 6 months. So take a look at that, right? In the past 6 months, 86 billion inflows. So that's not nothing, right? That is not nothing. And the sell side liquidity has also just reached an all-time low relative to the demand. So are we setting up for the mother of all squeezes? I would like to speculate that indeed we are. I'm going to pause here for a second and check in on the comments. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Okay, good stuff, good stuff. So yeah, Bitcoin, doing Bitcoin things, right? And I found this from Foss, which I absolutely love. He said that he'd like to remind you all that Bitcoin is still cheap when using the CDS model multiplied by the total funded and unfunded debt. So you can do the calculation yourself here, but it does imply a price of 322k per Bitcoin. So let that one sink in for a minute. Also, I found this from Hov, and I really like this count. This is essentially what I'm expecting to see from Bitcoin. And this fits really nicely with the cycle idea. You'll notice that essentially we should have started an impulse, probably get this pullback. We're going to talk about this pullback in just a minute. And then we should be on our way to somewhere between 80 and 90k in line with, you've probably seen this chart of mine before. If I pull this chart up, is it this one? Yeah, flip it onto log. So you've probably seen this before, right? And as you can see, it kind of hints, excuse me, it kind of hints at seeing perhaps as high as 90-ish K. Then we get that shakeout into that weekly cycle low. And then what I speculate will be the final push to the ultimate left translated cycle top. We will, of course, have to entertain seeing something like this and a double pump, but we'll deal with that later. For now, though, let's see if we can actually get this thing to play out. But it's nice when I see the Elliott wave stuff have confluence with the cycle stuff. Overall, I like what I'm seeing here. And then just before we get to some charts, as you can see, right, Bears looks like a great short setup, okay? So there's a good saying I like, which is don't be shy about buying the all-time high. And, you know, it worked right here as well as here. So I would speculate it's probably going to work. Again, we can't possibly enter price discovery, of course, without blasting through the all-time highs. So we love to see it, right? So far, so good. I am going to pause one more time and take a quick look at these comments. And sip a bit of water. Canada is not in a recession, I see in the comments. I also see, is $1 million Bitcoin possible? I mean, it is, but on what time frame, right? Like, I would say it seems silly if we assume any rate of adoption at all that Bitcoin doesn't reach $1 million per coin sometime in the next 10 to 15 years. I would speculate it's probably before the next 15 years, significantly before. But, you know, is 1 million per coin possible this cycle? I personally doubt it. Now, I'll be open to that for sure. I would love to see that for sure. But I don't know. I don't think it's possible this cycle personally. I am trying to find the bottom. I think the bottom's in. We'll do the charts, right? We'll do the charts and we'll come back to the comments. First of all, am I on log? Let me check I'm not on log. Here we go. So as you can see right here, the Dixie is still thinking about breaking out, right? So if it does, that makes life a little bit more complicated, but you know, there's still a chance to reject a resistance here and find a 3-year cycle low. With every day that we don't roll over sharply, it looks more and more to me like we have confirmed that 3-year cycle low. If I put this in a weekly chart and zoom out, you know, they're pretty consistent, these 3-year cycle lows. So it looks an awful lot to me like we may well have found one. But it does not preclude a violent rejection here into that 3-year cycle low time frame. So it's still, this is perfectly legal and qualifying, but this is my preferred look. And I think this would make the blow off top a lot easier. What else have we got? Bitcoin doing Bitcoin things, right? So going back to Bitcoin, like I showed you with this, right? The Elliott wave count supports this. This is one potential idea. In line with that fractal, I also showed you that supports higher. And I do think this cycle low holds. Now, if it doesn't, right, if we take out that low, then of course we have to be open to one of those consolidation cycles. And that's why this arrow is down here, because I've kind of not ruled this out as a scenario yet and then go. So we can't rule that out. But all the while we don't take out that low, right? All the while we do something more like this, then happy days, long and strong. And until we take out that low, then it's tough for me to think anything other than continued upside is coming from Bitcoin. Of course, with that said, taking a look at these crypto stocks, right? They seem to have broken out and be pushing off. Same is true of MicroStrategy, still flying. Riot is green, barely holding around the entry level, and Marathon, you know, bouncing off support again. So is some more chop coming for these kind of stocks whilst Bitcoin does something like this? Yes, I would have thought so. And certainly if we get something more like this, then you better believe people are going to be crying about Mara and Riot and stuff like that. But I do think ultimately, you know, unless we actually do break this low, then long and strong continue to push. And I'm not going to make it any more complicated than that. All the while we're holding above this low, I do target somewhere up in this 80 to 90k region for the next push. I notice in gold is green, so happy days, right? Again, similar deal, right? We've got the stop choked up. That should be the cycle low and it should hold. Now, all the while it's above that, it tells me to expect nice things for the precious metal markets into that next daily cycle low and then potentially all over again. So that's cool. I'll pause here and check in on some comments. I see some Nikita saying they went long yesterday. If you mean Bitcoin, then yeah, hopefully what I just said can help you gauge what I think should be coming. Camel, when are you a millionaire? That depends what skin in the game you've got, I guess. Please don't request altcoins. I'm far too worn down by the children to be bothering with altcoins. I guess if you donate, I have to, but I know you don't want them that badly. Will this be recorded and left on YouTube? Yes, it will be. I'll leave this on YouTube. Do I think the 4-year cycle low can deviate? It can deviate by a few months, but not any more than a few months, in my opinion. Trailing stop losses by percentage. No, I do trail my stop losses, like for example with gold, but I tend to just put them below cycle lows or in some kind of arbitrary place where I just think if price moves below that local low, then the trade's invalidated and we started a downtrend. So I don't have a hard and fast rule. I just move the stop up. Kathy did say 3 mil or 3 point something, I think she said, which seems, again, it's all about time frame. If we're talking a few years, maybe more like 8 or 10 years, then I could see 3 mil pretty easily. But if we're talking this cycle, this 4-year cycle, sometime in the next 18 months, I don't think so. Yeah, I see a lot of things about Canada, people really suffering in Canada. It doesn't look like a very comfortable place to be. I'm not sure we get 52k personally. I don't think that's probably very likely. 170k is still diminishing returns. I don't think it is. Not in line with that make-believe 5.3 rule anyway. Yeah, family are all good, thank you. Had a good time with the kids. As good as you can with a 2 and 4-year-old. I don't have any kids myself, so I'm not what's the word, conditioned to it. Is GBTC going to collapse? I don't think it's going to collapse, but I do think they possibly are just bowing out. I think that's why they left their charges so high. Liquidation at 56k, you'll probably be okay. I would think. Yeah, family time was great. Thank you, Lifeversity. Can we check out a hood? Yeah, we can. Any thoughts on MicroStrategy getting into the S&P? It might do. It might do, but I don't think it's going to stay there very long. If it does, that's my thoughts on that. Check in on hood for my brother Lifeversity. Long and strong, right? What else is there to say? For anyone that's wondering, this is not a live trade of mine. This was a demo trade. This was me saying you could go long there and it would probably work out, and it would have done, as you can see. So we got this kind of situation, right? You know the deal. Long and strong, continue to push. What else is there to check chart-wise? S&P still on its way, right? So I think I'm invalidated here. I think I could possibly redraw my yellow squiggle or cheat this a little bit and draw it like, wait, let me measure out. What we talking? If that is day 40-ish, then probably want day 30, I'm going to say 33, 9th of April-ish. So we'll draw this, something like this, towards the 9th of April, and then boom. That's what I think happens. So I'll leave that there. That's the modified squiggle. Taking a look at the NASDAQ, it's probably going to be the same, roughly speaking, I would have thought. Could maybe cheat this line a little bit. Encompass those lows. Something like that. It's the same deal really though, isn't it? And we're still pushing this Dow Jones position. I did move the line down, I think, in one of the last episodes. And we got to break out, get rid of this in the interest of keeping the chart a bit cleaner. Stop is choked up, right? Long and strong continue to push. Russell 2K as well. Look at this, right? Pushing off. So what do we see? Do we not see a big range, a range break with, a fake out, then a breakout retest looking for that resumption? This thing should, in my humble opinion, move a lot higher. I really do think this probably goes something like this. So that's pretty interesting as well. What else is there to say? I don't think there's a lot to say, really. I guess not much changes in a day. I know everyone's focus is going to be on this Bitcoin thing. Like I said, though, I think a pullback somewhere into support and then off we go seems like the most reasonable thing. And if we were to come all the way back down to the low and even sweep the low, then we'll talk about a different set of scenarios in that, should that occur. Hello from Mexico. Hello, mate. How possible do you think we see a typical right translated cycle this run? Another fast left translate. Yeah, it's perfectly possible. I'm open to everything. But the thing is, when we zoom out, let me get a cleaner chart for you to illustrate this point. This one will do. Excuse me. So when we look at this, right, this looks much more like a left translated cycle should look, especially if I'm right and we get this snap to like 85, 90k, then a bit of a shakeout, and then one more of those. That's exactly what a left translated cycle should look like. And if we go back to the other cycles, right, you think about it, we had this bear market low here, right? Then all we really did was chop a range for ages and ages before going parabolic. And it's the same the one before, right? So if I zoom in on this bit, bear market low, slow range, slow grind, right translated top eventually. But what we've done this time around is really the hallmark of a left translated cycle, right? We had this tiny bit here, then up we went, and again, if I'm right and we do snap to 80 or 90k now before having that first violent shakeout, which I do speculate, by the way, will be 30 or 40% for the first time, even though everyone's been trained to buy the dip after 15 to 20%. I think this will be the first real shakeout. And this is exactly what a left translated cycle looks like. We could be seeing, again, if I go to that fractal, where is it here, flip this onto log, we've not done anything too uncharacteristic of this bit, right? But this, remember, came from here. So if this is right, then we could see 150, 160k, but no later than, July? August, maybe? And that would be left translated. I find it really hard to believe that we're going to just do this all the way until, September, October of next year. I find that quite hard to believe personally. Now, this is where it gets complicated, of course, because we've got to be open to that double pump. So if we get this, I will be selling all or nearly all of my Bitcoin here. And then it's going to be really tough because we don't know if we're going to do something like, let me draw this a bit better for you. Yeah, we don't know if this ends up being the top. Goodness sake. We don't know if it's going to end up being, you know, some kind of slow grind and walk down, something like this. And then eventually we get to that 2026, the 4-year cycle low time frame, and then we can go again. Or if we're going to get that whole massive nasty shakeout and then some violent pump to end up being right translated. So it's going to be tough to deal with. You know, I've been consistent in saying all the time, even though I thought a left translated cycle was the most likely, I never actually wanted one because it would be far easier if we did right translate. It'd be far easier to deal with. But yeah, open to anything as always. And I don't care about being right or wrong, right? I just want to get out at the top. And then if we are going to have a double pump, I want to get back in ready for that second leg. So we'll see, right? We will see. Epic Media, with Bitcoin top, how can I time an exit? Sorry, I can't read. You can tell how worn out I am. With Bitcoin top, how can I time exit an altcoin? Well, I'm not entirely sure what you mean. How can you time the exit with the altcoins? Like, first of all, I'm not really an altcoin guy, right? But my thought is, let's assume this fractal plays out. Then in this neighborhood, somewhere in this neighborhood, we should see a true alt season. We should see that Bitcoin dominance chart break down really violently. We should see alt starting to do 10, 20x in a day. And that would be a hallmark that you want to sell into those pumps, right? But what if, and I've been saying this over and over again, what if this happens right here because we enter a global recession? What if this happens right here and we get this nasty crash because something is really broken, or they cyber attack the financial system, or whatever it is, right? What if it's some major black swan catalyst that drives this? Then does money still rotate into altcoins? I'm not convinced personally, but as you know, I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't really care either way. I just want to get the Bitcoin trade right personally. I'm just having a look at some comments. Finally activated Windows. No, I haven't. It's just I'm using, what do you call it? Let me find it. I'm using window capture instead of browser capture. So, sorry, instead of screen capture. So you can't see it, but it is still there. Yeah, I had a wonderful time with the niece and nephew. Thank you. As good as you can with, you know, a 2 and 4-year-old. Keep wishing the dollar's going to fall. Yeah, I mean, it looks more and more likely like it wants to break out, doesn't it? Will there be hyperinflation after rate cuts? I don't know about hyperinflation, but is massive inflation coming? Yeah, I would think so. And I would also speculate it's probably by design. They probably want to blow this system up so that they can usher in the CBDCs. That's been the base case of mine. And also, typically, it's what they do at the end of the currency cycles, right? They inflate it and then reprice gold way, way, way higher, and then peg whatever the new system is. I guess this time around it'd be a CBDC type thing to gold. We go all over again, right? The pony show starts from scratch. I'm just going to sip some water, bear with me. What happens if inflation keeps spiking up instead of deflation? Well, I think we're going to get deflation just based on asset price deflation, right? I think we're going to get this, right? I think, you know, if we keep going parabolic, the question is, how long can we continue this? How long can we continue this before that has to come thereafter? And if we get this portion play out, particularly with a global recession, like I think we might, then we will get this massive Dixie run. And the Dixie might already know ahead of time. That might be why the 3-year cycle lows come in slightly early. That might be why the Dixie looks like it wants to break out here. And perhaps this is the canary in the coal mine for that deflationary bust, right? Perhaps this is the canary in the coal mine for that melt up chart of mine playing out. So we're going to find out. Looking to swap out some Bitcoin for Tesla. I am not a fan of Tesla. I will have a look at the Tesla Bitcoin. I mean, it's probably going to look a lot worse because I would think Bitcoin is probably going to snap way higher. I know what you're saying. Maybe it's going to triple bottom down here. We put in a horizontal. Maybe thinking about rotating in there. I don't know, man. I don't know. For me, I've just got a huge issue with Tesla, and that issue is that whilst the stock market is in blow off top mode, right, this is what Tesla looks like. Why does Tesla look like this when the Nasdaq and the S&P and everything else looks like that? That's the issue I can't get around, right? I can't bring myself to even want to long Tesla, even at this breakout down here, if it was to occur, because, like I said, like, why does Tesla have this shape whilst the stock market has this shape? You know, I just personally can't get past that. Where do I live in Portugal? I don't live in Portugal. Yeah, I'm using a VPN. Black Swan is KuCoin. I doubt it, personally. Yep, this is indeed a camel run. You're not wrong. What do I think will happen to Bitcoin if the recession hits? That's the $1 million question, right? And really, there's only two outcomes. Either it continues to trade like a risk asset and the market doesn't view it as a risk off asset, and thus it will crash during a recession and really suffer. And I guess that would give rise, wouldn't it, to the left translated cycle. So where's my chart? This one. So if we get the recession and this breakdown occurs, then I would expect Bitcoin to bleed all the way into that 4-year cycle low before it can think about going again. But if the market can see this as a risk-off asset, then maybe what we get is that double pump, right? Maybe we just get the big shakeout, 50% correction, and then the market starts to treat this like gold, like a digital gold, and it rallies with gold. Because I also expect gold to have a big puke if we get that huge blow up, right? If we get that big recession. That's what gold does. It nosedives with everything else because people are forced to generate liquidity. And then it usually is the first and fastest to recover, which is what I would expect for Bitcoin if the market's going to see it as a risk-off asset. But the question is, will it? And I really don't know. Maybe it will now that the institutions are here, but then equally, maybe they would just rather nuke it 85% and then buy it all up at the bottom. I don't really know. You can DCA out. It's not for me, but then again, I'm quite, not to blow my own trumpet, but I'm quite competent at just pulling the trigger, right? If you're gun shy with selling, if you're the sort of person that sees a breakdown here and then goes, oh, I'll just hold, and then it continues to bleed, and you go, oh, well, it's probably going to bounce back, right? If you see this occur and you give it a day or two space, and you're competent and confident enough to say, right, well, that was my strategy, sell when it breaks down, then that's fine. You don't have to DCA out. But if you're a bit gun shy and you think that when we get to here, you'll be going, oh, maybe I should just hold. Maybe I should just hold. Oh, I can't sell here because I should have sold here. I'll just wait, right? Oh, no, maybe I should have sold. Oh, I definitely should have sold. Well, I'm not selling for 50% lower than... If that's your mentality, then yeah, maybe DCA out. And there's nothing wrong with taking a piece off here, right? And a piece off here. In fact, I did that with Coinbase and MicroStrategy, didn't I? Look, take partial. So we got this breakdown. The line was originally drawn steeper than this. It looked like this. And then at this breakdown, I took some off. And that's fine. Got to pay myself. And zooming out, even if this thing rips way higher and it looks like this, right? And then breaks down and I sell the rest there. Well, who's going to really say that that's a terrible trade? If I got in here, and at the bear market lows, at a core allocation, these are lightly leveraged positions to supplement that. And then I took some off here, and I took the rest off here. I mean, I don't think anyone can say that's a terrible trade. I think that's nothing wrong with that. Same is true of MicroStrategy, right? There's nothing wrong with taking something off. And you've got to get in the habit of paying yourself. If you don't, then you'll just be a bag holder. So the only way you can make it real is if you actually pull the trigger on the sales. So something to consider anyway. I've never heard of that trader, I'm afraid. But thank you for the €2. Not a fan of Tesla, technically. Not a fan of... I don't look at any fundamentals ever. I only look at charts. The level 3 membership does not include any kind of education. All of the education stuff is free and is in the tutorials playlist. Stagflation is indeed a real possibility. Yep. Why hold gold over Bitcoin in a recession? Well, because Bitcoin is probably, unless the world recognizes it as a risk-off asset and it breaks out for that double pump, then the market and the world is going to view it as a risk asset, and it might go as low as minus 85% or more, right? We couldn't rule out if it's really severe, like if it is really a global bust, then Bitcoin could do minus 90 or 95%. So do I want to hold that or some gold? No, I want some gold personally, but you do you, right? Gold goes up in times of panic. Yeah, but it usually goes down first, remember. Yeah, I don't think KuCoin matters either. Look at 2020. Yeah, there's the answer. Yeah, good man, Justin. You know what you're talking about. It's always behaved as a risk asset. Why would it change? Well, because at some point it has to mature, right? It is the ultimate risk-off asset. Just the market that hasn't worked that out yet. It doesn't view it that way. But it's more... It improves on golds in so many ways, right? So I think at some point it possibly will change. I don't think... I still think it's too early for it to change now. We'll find out. How's the situation in the UK? I don't know. I live quite sheltered existence. I don't I don't go out much. I think it's pretty rough. I think a lot of people are suffering with food prices. To be honest, I only really pay attention to the US because that's what moves the markets, right? I know the house prices have been falling for about a year and a half consistently. People aren't able to sell houses. I've noticed that for sure. What about Litecoin? I do not have it on my list. Although I hold some. I found some Litecoin on a wallet. Stupidest thing. But yeah, I found some. So I've got some Litecoin from probably like 2017 or something. Not many at all, but I've got a little bit. In fact, because I've got a little bit, I'll look at it. Because I haven't even really paid any attention. Yeah, I mean, this is why I can't be bothered with altcoins. Please don't shoot me for this, but I know some of them have charts like this. I understand that. But this is kind of what I expected to see out of this cycle for altcoins. I expected most of them to look like this. Now, I don't know, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not an altcoin guy. I don't know how many of them look like this relative to how many are flying. I really don't know. But this is kind of what I expected, right? Would it have been better to hold Bitcoin? Yeah, I think so. So yeah, but I have got some. Like I said, I found some on a wallet a little while ago. I did an update and it appeared there, so I must have lost it at some point. Too many people have degrees and there's a shortage of workers. Yeah, the thing is, so many people I know with degrees just have useless degrees. There's just way too many. I think we had like hyperinflation of degrees in this country at least. Loads of people have them in stuff that just doesn't matter. And I know plenty of people that I went to university with that also had chemistry degrees, and then they just went to work in like a department store or just something like a care home or something, and just completely gave up. Once they finished uni, they just couldn't be bothered to go and actually get a degree that was, couldn't be bothered to go and get a job that was degree specific. So I don't know, it's weird. Any thoughts on shorting the Canadian housing market? Sounds like quite a good idea, but I don't take that as gospel. I won't be personally. Can only focus on too many things. Thank you for being here. How much do you think MicroStrategy will go up in this part of the cycle? Oh, I have no idea. That's the truth. I have no idea. But I do know this. A lot of people, I saw this on Twitter earlier, there's like 21% short interest on this chart, and I know people like to look at a straight up chart like this and go, well, look at that, it's well overbought, we've got to short it, right? It's got to crash soon. But that is like jumping in front of a train. That's the perfect analogy. That is jumping in front of the train, because yeah, it could top here, right? Or it could do this and then top. And you could short this and go, no, look, it must be about to break down. It must be about to break down. I saw this with NVIDIA. I saw people trying to short NVIDIA, and NVIDIA just kept going up and up and up for weeks and weeks and weeks. I haven't checked in on Nvidia in a while. But yeah, I know people were trying to short this. Let me zoom out a little bit. I know people were trying to short this in here, and then we got this break, and they were going, I'm going to short, I'm going to short, I'm going to short. I mean, again, there's nothing to say this isn't going to do that, okay? We're in potentially a blow-off top, and absolutely nonsensical, doesn't make any sense, angriest, most hated, most doubted, shortest, most shorted rally of all time. So, yeah, at some point, it will probably break down, and then a good short could be the way, but I don't know. We could definitely see MicroStrategy go way, way, way higher. Yep, trendline breakdown is how I get out of everything. What's my take profit on gold? I don't know, man. I plan on holding the gold until the end of this decade, maybe beyond that. Wig a lot, asking the right questions again. How do I become a level 3 member? There's a link in the description or the pinned comment. And if you're using an iOS device, you may need to open it in browser mode. We're all getting girlfriends. Hi, Matrix. How you doing, bro? What, you want a ETH ETN? Am I right? Does anyone know? Is it true that an ETN doesn't have to be backed? Because if so, I think that's a major red flag. And I say that because they could potentially use it to short the top. So there might be some games to be played. DKRZ says, or I'm not going to read it because that's wild. No, I didn't hear what he said about me. I didn't. Some people, man. But thank you for the €2. Do I bother with stocks and shares ISA to avoid some capital gains? No, because I use spread betting, which is quite tax efficient anyway. But I have had them in the past. That's how I started my trading career, with a stocks and shares ISA, trading penny stocks. Yeah, that guy definitely has a screw loose, but that's okay. He can keep donating money, and I'll allow it. How do I figure out the lengths of the cycles for a given asset? You observe it based on the entire price history of an asset. So the way I would do it for something new is I would put it into the weekly time frame, because the weekly cycle lows they're much more readily identifiable, right? They're easier to observe. So I'd put it in a weekly chart, observe the major weekly cycles and mark those. And then between the weekly cycle lows that you've identified, look for between 3 and 5 daily cycles on average to make up one weekly cycle. And then if you do that, count the number of days between each of the daily cycle lows, average them out over the entire price history of the asset, and then apply a tolerance of 10%, plus or minus 10%. That should give you your daily count. Is it okay to ask you to cover how to find daily cycle low for socks? I think I just kind of explained that. So yeah. Hopefully that's okay. Can I have a quick look at CAS? I will, because you're very generous with it. CAS. I'm going to say now, this thing is probably just still in up only mode, right? Oh, I got it wrong. Okay. Well, I think this one needs log for sure. Let's reset this. Zoom in a bit. What's wrong with me? Oh, this does look like it's kind of thinking about breaking down, right? Or maybe it'll hold. Okay, well, there's a line, right? There's a line. Warning signs would be fired if it loses this line. So there's that. We also, if we zoom in a bit, had a breakout, which is possibly breakout, retest, looking for that resumption higher, right? So certainly some invalidation levels in this kind of neighborhood, right? Warning signs if price trades here. But if we got breakout, retest, looking for that resumption, and confluence with a bounce off of this blue support, and then we go, then happy days, right? Long and strong continue to push. That would be my analysis. That would be how I'd probably plan to handle this. I just wonder if we clone this. Oops. Does it fit? Yeah, it almost fits, right? Yeah, I don't know. I hope that was useful. Let me know if not. Shorted the triple Bs. Good man. When do I expect alt season to start? I don't know, bro. I don't know. I'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance. You guys love your love your altcoins. Everyone loves altcoins, apparently. Yeah, I mean, ignore these big arrows. All right, we don't need this or this. Get rid of that. It's pretty much invalidated at this point. I mean, we still haven't broken down of the opposite and red support line, have we? No, we have not. We're also working on this kind of situation. So if we could break out above there, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if this happens, to be honest. Now, I know that's not a popular opinion. And of course, we know my invalidation. Because if we break down here, then alt season should begin. Before anyone criticizes me for saying, you can't use Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, I understand. We'll do this one as well. What have we got? Big Wyckoff accumulation. How do I make this thing fit? Is that right? Shrink this down a bit. Oh, we don't need this. You get the point, right? Big Wyckoff accumulation, breakout, looking for higher prices. So it's pretty close, isn't it? It is pretty close. Something like this. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. We seem to be in phase E. So hopefully if this thing can continue, then you should see some alts moving, I would have thought. Even with a chemistry degree. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And I threw mine in the bin. Not literally, but, you know. Yeah, and there are far worse degrees out there. I do not have the cojones to short MicroStrategy, I can tell you that. How does Wolf look? Wolf looks okay, but I'm not going to cover it because it's in the members section. It's not fair to those guys. What else we got? Thoughts on London Stock Exchange ETF trading for Bitcoin? I'm a bit concerned that that could be a top marker. So a trick they like to do, right, is they like to launch futures on the spot Bitcoin ETFs and then use those to suppress the price. That's what they do with gold. That's how they keep the price suppression in gold. And I wonder if, and I could be well wrong about this. I'm often wrong when I speculate like this, but I really do. It's been a concern of mine that they were going to use the ETF to short the top anyway. Now, they ended up launching the ETF far closer to the lows than the highs, or at least somewhere in the middle. So I said that if that was the case, I wouldn't worry about it. But I said, you know, if the chart was at all-time highs and we blasted to a heavy left-translated cycle and then they launched the ETF, that we should probably be aware that they could use that to be a distribution tool. So that was kind of invalidated. But now we're seeing that potentially they've got these ETNs come in around the time where we could see a push, right? We could see a big push into that May timeframe around 80 or 90k. Then they launch those ETNs, puke the position, pump it up one more time into that final top, and then perhaps some games are played similarly to what they do in the gold market. So that's my concern, but I don't know if I'm actually right about that. How high can a left translated cycle go? No one knows, right? No one knows. It's a market. Are you rotating into gold for capital preservation? Yeah, not growth. Not growth, really. I think longer term, gold, like, I'll rotate into gold and then I'll hold some for a decade, nearly, or the rest of the decade. And I'm sure it will do a minimum of 10x and probably more like 20x. But in the nearer term, it's more about, I don't want to exit my Bitcoin into gold, into fiat, and then keep it in a bank. I don't want to do that, especially with the state of the banks and everything else at the moment. So, and potentially the CBDCs. So I want to rotate it into gold, mostly so I got it in my hand and can hold on to it. Spread betting is and it isn't tax free. It depends. It depends. You got a good accountant and another income, then you can make it tax free. But if it's your only form of income, and HMRC think that you are an organized trader that sets out specifically to trade markets, then you have to pay income tax on it. One hump or two? I don't know. I don't know, bro. Am I one hump or two? You tell me, and why. I'd be interested to know. Good evening, Nathan. In which way do I invest in gold? Typically, I like physical only, but I'm paranoid. I won't be using ETFs because the whole point of me, like I said, getting out of... I don't want fiat currency because I don't want counterparty risk, right? And if I've got ETFs that could potentially be frozen or confiscated or whatever, then that's not really solving a problem. Three humps because I'm special. Appreciate it, bro. Your dad sold cars after getting a chemistry degree. Yeah, man. It's one of the things that rubbed me up the wrong way about the pharmaceutical industry is most people in there don't, like, I can think back to one of my very early lab jobs, and the manager of the quality control lab didn't even have an A level in science, and there was a bunch of scientists underneath her that nobody had any respect for her because of that. And I used to just think, how on earth do you get to be the manager of the lab and signing all the paperwork off and overseeing it all when you don't have any science knowledge? Or I don't know. I guess you can learn it on the job, but it's a bit weird, right? And something else that really rubbed me up the wrong way about it was I found it really difficult because I've been trained, I want to say classically, and the way they do it in the industry is very Breaking Bad. Not Walter White Breaking Bad, Jesse Pinkman. It's very slapdash, and everything's wrong and everything's miscalculated. And when I got in there, I was like, what on earth is going on here? So yeah, anyway, that was a long time ago, but happy with your swing trade you took on Mara. Yeah, good man. I see Mara. Oh, look at we go 7%. Let's go back to break even on the second trade. Yeah, I see sentiment is in the gutter with Marathon, and you know, usually when people give up, particularly after we have done a big range, a breakout, retest, and looking for resumption, you know, this tends to be the time when we really upset everyone that puke their positions. I'm bullish Marathon. I'm bullish Marathon until I'm stopped out, really. That's as simple as that. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. You got severe PTSD from the last bear market. Yeah, I mean, take some off, right? There'll be an amount you can take off that makes it easy for you to sleep. Is Big Rad in here? I haven't seen Big Rad. Oh, Big Rad. Hello, Big Rad. I'm starting to get the feeling I know how high you can go as well. So yeah, can I do TA on silver? Yeah, I'll do that for sure, bro. I don't think much is... What's really happening with it? Oh, breakout though, right? After a fake out. So this red line goes all the way back to the $50 days. What is wrong with me? Here we go. All the way back to the $50 days. Huge compression. Starting to break out. We had the first fake out right here. False dawn. And now breakout retest. Possible resumption higher. And if it can do that, it should be a straight snap to $30. Then I think we consolidate. And then probably we should have higher prices thereafter. But for now, I mean, that is a breakout as far as I can tell. I've lost my place. Let's have a look. Tim Foil Hat Camel. Yeah, that is me. I'm a pretty paranoid guy. But I maintain that it's not paranoia if they really are out to get you. Bullish or bearish, Gareth Soloway? I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Thoughts on expanding flat here? Yeah, it could be. It could be. That's a good question. That is a good question. I'm by no means an Elliott wave guy. I'm by no means an Elliott wave guy, but we do have to be open to, if we either, I said this before, if we double top with this, or if we slightly poke above it and then do something like this, you know, we'd have to be open to that. And ultimately, that would just kind of be a consolidation cycle, right? It takes some time. And that would also imply potentially that we've got a lower top coming. But for now, right, unless we either double top with this local high from back here, or like I said, just poke above it and reject, I'm not even going to entertain that. But I am aware that is a possibility. Hi, Nasco. No problem, bro. No problem at all. Anil, thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Do I still project 90k before halving? I'm not really thinking about it in terms of time. I'm just thinking that should be the next. That should be the next pump somewhere up there. When is the halving? Does anyone know? When Bitcoin halving? Around April 19th. Yeah, I mean, maybe there or thereabouts. What about silver? I mean, I got a big silver position that I've had for years and years and years. But no, for me, for the most part, I want gold. I will be playing miners when I think it's time. We've started to dip the toe in some of the miners in the members section. But largely, I want gold because I want to be able to say F you if any of the system tries to get me. You know, I want to be able to say what gold I gave it away, or I lost it in a boating accident, or you know what I mean. That's really what I want. I want no counterparty risk. Over the next 2 years, in my opinion, do you think silver will outperform gold? Not really. Well, I don't know. Over the next 2 years, I could see $50, $60 silver, which is a little over 100, 150%, right? And what about gold? I guess in terms of percentage points, silver probably will outperform gold, but that doesn't mean I want to hold more silver than gold personally. I hope you won big rad. You should have kids over more often. Loving these live streams. Thanks, Morgan. I'm not really built for it. Although I think I probably will be having children before too much longer. Someone's got to repopulate this planet, right? I got to have way more than I wanted. I originally only wanted 2. I didn't really want any, and then I was like, 2 would be fine. But now I'm thinking like I've got to have 6 or 7 because birth rates are declining and stuff, right? I am going to have to wrap it up actually in the not too distant future. So consider this your 15-minute warning. Fire as many questions into the chat as you can think. I'll try and get through them. You don't think Bitcoin will pass 75k before the halving? Yeah, I mean, it might not. It might not, right? One day at a time. We haven't chatted CLSK yet, no, but because it's in the member section, I'm going to keep it in the member section. What are my views on midweek reversals? No strong opinion, really. Silver tends to outperform gold in the beginning stages. Yeah, and right at the latter stages as well, right, if I'm not mistaken. Is there a black swan around the corner? I mean, the black swan predictors, the black swan callers call 500 black swans in a year. And then when they get one right, they go, I told you, like, there it is. I'm like, well, I don't know, man. I don't know. I would say based on an alternate count for a 4-year S&P cycle low, if we're going to get a black swan based on that cycle system, it should be somewhere between May and June. So that would be my guess. And that's using cycles. That's not using anything else. But the whole point of a black swan is you can't see it coming, right? I'm sure the people that bought a C19 have more plans for us. I'm sure they probably do. But I don't like to give my energy to it. I don't like to live in this kind of fear state and doom and gloom. I like to just try and vibe my way through this. Time Lord, yeah, you've managed to catch the end of it. But I'm going to upload it to YouTube, so it'll be ready for you to watch on catch up if anyone couldn't make it or anything like that. In my opinion, is Biden or Trump better for Bitcoin? Trump's got to be, right? Got to be. I would have thought. But I don't know. Thank you, Tori. What else we got? Big Rad bearish on children. I mean, I don't know. I hear it's different when they're yours, but I'm just not that into it. I've had such a life full of freedom for so long. I love the fact that I'm on my own boss and I get my own time and I can go fishing or take my dog out. After this, I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette, treat myself to some cigs. I'm gonna take my dog out. The sun's shining. You know what I mean? And yeah, you could take your kids, right? And I'm going to have to do it. Like I said, someone's got to repopulate this earth. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I know the missus really wants them. She's a lot younger than me, but she's getting into that neighborhood where she needs to start having them fairly soon. So yeah, we'll find out. It is probably pretty cool. I imagine it's pretty cool, like seeing them grow up and that. I hear everyone tell me it's the best thing you'll ever do, but part of me wonders if that's that whole like misery loves company thing. SEC versus Coinbase trial. I don't really know anything about it, to be honest. I don't really care either. I don't think there's anything to worry about. No platinum or palladium. I don't know, man. It's never been something I pay too much attention to be honest. What's my confidence in percentage that Bitcoin hits 6 digits? I'd say 85, 90%. As long as we don't take farmer juice, yeah, repopulation, not an issue. Big Rad, yeah, Big Rad strikes me as the type of guy that would love to short children. Thank you for saying my voice is soothing. You sleep when my videos on. I hope that's not true. What are my long-term life goals? What do you plan to do with your wealth? I don't really know. Like I like my life. I like my life. I'm pretty much living the way I want to live. I do think, like I said, I gotta have kids. I think gotta keep my wife happy by having some children. I hope they're guys. I hope they're boys. I really do. I think that would be much easier for me. Other than that, I don't really know. I'll just keep on keeping on, I think. But yeah, I really enjoy my life. I don't really have any complaints. I suppose long-term goals, I don't know. Just keep doing it, right? Just keep doing it. Precious metal, yep. Yeah, big love, everyone. I'm going to be signing off in not too distant future. Realistically, how long can the Fed kick the can down the road? I don't know, man. Forever, right? Forever until something breaks. Until they're ready to usher in whatever beast system they've got lined up. Children are the best. Yeah, everyone tells me that. I'm sure I'll probably get really into it. And I'm in quite a privileged position. I've got like plenty of time and stuff. So I think it'd be easier for me, quote unquote, than a lot of people. 100x short on children. Big Rad, you got to do it, bro. Come on. It's down to us, right? We're the crypto guys, right? We're the people that are ready to sort the finance system out. We're the pro-humanity group, right? So we got to have the kids. Reuters reported Swift has asked banks and nation states start planning CBDs in the next 2 years. Yeah, how does that juxtapose the notion and fiat? I mean, they're coming, right? We've known they're coming for a while, and we can see the writing on the wall with the inflation, which is just going to keep getting worse. The debt is spiraling out of control. We'll be taking on something like 100 trillion every month and a half or something. Don't quote me on that. I think that's probably completely wrong. But we've got way too much debt. There's so much unfunded liability. They're never going to be able to pay it back. So I think the whole thing is probably a controlled demolition. That's been my base case for a while, and that will remain the base case, I would think. Breeding some camels, not many in the UK. No, there isn't. There isn't. I was thinking it might be quite funny when this is all said and done if we nail the top to actually buy a camel. That would be pretty funny. Apparently they're really good at clearing out woods. Apparently they'll eat all the bramble stuff. And there's a guy in Cornwall that's selling half of his herd. He's got the biggest herd in the UK. It's not very big. I think it's like 19 camels, but he was selling that. And they've been used for weddings. Cornwall camel sale. Where is this? Yeah, this one. Oh, this was a long time ago then. This is back in 2012. Did see this. Camels for sale, Britain's biggest herd on the market. So yeah. No, we're not that late in the cycle yet. Would a long-term accumulation, 2 months for Bitcoin, confirm the right translated cycle? It wouldn't confirm it, right? Because we could definitely have a 2-month consolidation and then roll over, or a 2-month consolidation, a tiny little pop-up and then roll over. So until we get past November of this year, you know, if we're still seeing higher highs after November of this year, then it's right translated. But until then, we won't really know. One more time, the Bitcoin outlook. What do you mean? You mean, is this what you mean? Click that, log it up. Yeah, this is still the base case, right? This is still the base case that we push higher and then have the first true shakeout of 30+%. And then we get that final push to a left translated cycle top. Once we get here, you know, I'm going to be exiting probably a huge chunk, if not all of it, and expecting at least in the best case scenario, a huge 50-60% crash followed by a double pump, and in the worst case scenario, some kind of horrible chop, drawn out bear market for two years ish, or more than 2 years, into that 4-year cycle low at the end of 2026. So that's it, right? And in the more immediate term, if we only just manage to poke above this high here, if we either come up and double top or just about poke above it and then roll over, we have to be open to seeing something more like this, and then we can go for about 60 days based on the cycles. But if we just pull back from here and then fire off towards 85-ish K, then happy days, long and strong, continue to push, right? And what price is my stop loss on my last Bitcoin entry? That is 57,890. So we'll see, right? We will see. What else we got? Do I think AI could make TA ineffective? No, I don't. And I say that because, like, could someone build an AI bot that you press a button and it just analyzes the chart and spits it out? Yeah, that could certainly happen. But remember, trading is a discipline, not a skill, right? You have to have the discipline to size your stops. You have to have the discipline not to use too much leverage, not to do things you shouldn't do, right? Not to disrespect your trend line. Like, if you tell yourself you're going to sell when it breaks down and then you don't, well, that's not because you don't have skill, that's because you don't have discipline, right? Similarly, if you tell yourself you're going to buy on a trend line breakout here and then you don't end up buying because you got scared in the FUD, like, you don't have the discipline to execute on your system. So I don't think it could ever really replace, or maybe it could, right? Because I don't know. I think there's too much discretionary stuff. It couldn't necessarily replace TA, could it? But I mean, they already have bots, right? We already have bots and algorithms that can do that. So I don't know. Long and strong continue to push. Yep. Kid on the way. Good man. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. We're getting better at these live streams, I think. They're starting to go a little bit smoother. Big Rad is living the life. Yeah, I like Cornwall. I've been to Cornwall a few times. Great fishing down there. No ETA on the next live stream. I don't like to put too much pressure on them. I like to just hop on when I can. But yeah, I'm getting more comfortable with it, and they're flowing a bit better, I think. So yeah, happy days. I'm sure there'll be another one before too much longer. Why are you expecting a big crash before a big pump? I mean, steeper and steeper angles. We're already pretty steep, right? And if we set a third one, I don't think we could just keep going steeper and steeper and steeper, personally. Like, could we do another one from here? Yeah, maybe. Like, maybe we get here and we set one like this for a while. But then that just means in terms of time, we top even sooner. We could go higher for sure, but we would top, by the time this broke down, it'll be sooner than here, right? Or roughly the same, I guess. I mean, I don't know. We'll see, right? But we're already near vertical, so there's probably not much more room for one more other than this. That would be my thoughts. How do I get the yellow faded candles? You mean these ones? Is this tool here, bars pattern, and then turn the opacity down. Am I smoking? On and off. I'm smoking as a treat, which is like a dangerous game to play. I keep like buying a box of 20 and then smoking those over 3 or 4 days, and then I have like a few weeks off. Can we look at a possible entry for ETH? Nah, bro. All right, go on then, ETH, and then I'm going to say goodbye. Where is ETH? I mean, it's probably the same as Bitcoin, right? It tends to do the same 60-day cycles that Bitcoin does. It is in here, working on a breakout, possible retest and resumption. So maybe get something like this and a reversal, and the long could go in here with stop either here or below this low, target in, I don't know, higher. Would I sell Bitcoin into gold at one point? Hold on to the gold? Yeah, I would. I'll definitely want at least to get all my position and some back. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see, right? One day at a time. Once all-time high broke. Yeah, don't worry about the miners. They'll do something. They'll do what they're supposed to do, I'm sure. Oh, no, I'm not smoking right now. My target is 170k, but I plan to sell half. Yeah, that could work. I would just say, though, just be careful with picking a number, because say your numbers are 130 and 170. Well, what if the top is 125k? Then, so have a system that mechanically you can exit on, something like trend lines or some kind of, whatever it is, just have something that will tell you to exit. Do I like P. Diddy? For goodness sake. I like a couple of his songs, but I don't like the stuff they're involved in. But then again, anyone in that circle is involved with the same stuff, right? If you listen to some music, they do some weird stuff. So I don't know. Anyway, all right. Well, on that note, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for being part of this. I had a blast. I hope you found some value here. Hope you found some entertainment in the middle of it, and no doubt we'll be back tomorrow morning with regular content as always, and I'm sure there'll be a few more live streams in the not too distant future. So thank you all again for being here. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're doing well in life. Until tomorrow, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.